Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. I'm Anna. Thanks so much for tuning in. Today we're going to relax with watercolor and create a painted hills landscape. And as a friendly reminder, if you enjoy the video, please like, comment, subscribe, share, turn on the notification bells, all that good stuff. It goes a long way in supporting the channel and I really appreciate it. All right, now on to the video. So all you'll need for our project today is some 140-pound cold press watercolor paper, some washi tape to frame up your piece, a watercolor palette, some brushes, particularly a quill brush, as well as a couple of clean jars of water, a spray bottle with water to activate pigments, paper towels, and editing me here, a white paint marker to do some line work at the end. All right, that should be everything. Now to start, I want you to take your watercolor palette and pick a color that you're most drawn to. Personally, I'm drawn to this blue color right here. So I'm going to spritz it with some water to activate. And I invite you to do the same. Let it sit for, I don't know, like 30 seconds. Now we're going to take a quill brush, and I'm using a quill brush because it holds a lot of water and a lot of color, and it's really great for rolling, which is a technique that I'm going to show you here in a minute. So we're going to wet our quill brush and then sop up a bunch of that color that you selected. Then you're going to lay the brush on its side and roll the handle to roll the brush across the paper. And what you end up getting is this very natural looking color variation and texture, as well as these natural looking peaks. And you can have a lot of fun with it. Switch to your non-dominant hand. I'm going to try it with my right hand. Just roll the brush. And what we're doing here is creating the foundation for our landscape. And it's okay if it doesn't look like a landscape. You don't have to make it look like anything right now. And since we are building up the color foundation for our landscape, go ahead and add another color in at this point. And you'll see that I'm doing this with a darker blue right now. And since some areas of my first color are still wet, when I add the second wet color, those colors blend seamlessly. That's the wet on wet technique. And I'll do that again with one more color here. I think I'm gonna do this Viridian green. So all we're really doing here is rolling our brush across the paper with different colors. And that's why I find this exercise so relaxing. You can just play with color and see what happens. Now I'm going to finish up with this Viridian green and then let what I have so far dry. Now we're going to add a couple more colors, but we want to let it dry to preserve the peaks and hard edges that are already there. So once that first layer is dry, select another color, spritz it with water, load your quill brush with water and color, and then repeat that rolling technique. And you might notice that as you add this additional color over the top of the dry colors, that it acts as a harmonizing filter for everything underneath. This technique is a wet on dry technique called glazing. I use it all the time in my artwork to create a sense of depth, because when you apply a thin layer of transparent color over already dry color, everything maintains its structure so you can tell there's something underneath, and that creates the visual depth. And that's a very different effect than the first one we were using, that wet on wet technique, where the colors were actually softly blending and merging. And I just wanted to mention those different techniques because even though this is a simple project, there is a lot going on. And so with this yellow, I did let the purple I was using dry. And so I'm doing glazing again here with yellow. So once your glazing's done and everything's dried at the touch, grab your white paint marker. And if you're new to using paint markers, just know that you do have to pump them occasionally to get the paint flowing again. So once your paint marker's all pumped and primed, go ahead and start tracing along those edge lines. And you'll notice that my lines are going top to bottom. Now this is very important because we are going to be rotating this piece 90 degrees, so we're in landscape mode instead of portrait mode like you're seeing now. And you might be wondering why I am basically having you create this piece sideways and I didn't start us out in landscape orientation to begin with. Well, first of all, I like surprises, and in creating this way, you are setting yourself up for a beautiful surprise. Because after we draw in these first few edge lines and get around to rotating the paper 90 degrees, like so, you finally see what you've been creating this whole time. So yeah, I think the world needs more beautiful surprises, and this is one little way to create one of those for yourself. But secondly, it does, I think, help you get into a creative flow more easily, because when I sit down to paint and I think I want to paint a landscape, I already have an idea of what that needs to look like. I have an expectation. And then that kind of throws off my painting because I'm painting out of expectation. I'm not letting my creativity lead the way. And so I think when you start in kind of an unconventional way, it really helps you let go of your expectations, let your creativity flow, and you end up with something that's even better than what you thought it could be. All that being said, though, I do like to rotate it once I've got the first initial lines drawn so I can refine things. And you'll notice I left a little space open at the top for some sky, which I'm now glazing over with orange. It makes those darker shapes underneath look like clouds. I'm gonna let this very top portion dry to the touch like that, and then paint a sun rising in the top right corner here. And I am doing that because I want the viewer's eye to be drawn all the way across the landscape over every set of hills at a diagonal. So placing it there will help guide the viewer. I just wanted to mention that because it demonstrates that you don't really need to overdo things. You can use a light touch, add a few refining details, and create a beautiful composition. And if you're looking at your piece right now and you're like, mine doesn't really need a sun, don't add a sun. That's totally fine. It's your composition. The most important thing is to look at what's in front of you and respond to what's there instead of trying to force something that doesn't belong. And speaking of light touch refinement, my last step here is a great example of that. I'm just retracing the lines that are already there. I'm not adding any additional complexity to the piece. I just noticed when I look at it that the initial lines kind of faded into the colors in the paper. So I'm retracing to amp up the contrast. So yeah, that's a painted hills landscape. And I don't know about you, but I really enjoy creating this way. So I thought it would be fun to make more exercises with the same kind of concept, like, like a seascape or a forestscape. If that sounds interesting to you, let me know in the comments. I really do try my best to incorporate the feedback that I get. So if you have thoughts, let me know. They are greatly appreciated. And with that, our Painted Hills landscape is complete. As always, thank you so much for creating with me today. Until next time, take care.